Hi and welcome. I'm Torben Mallwitz, the CTO of Günstige.de, and today I would like to tell you a bit about what happened to us early this year, where we got attacked by Qilin, a ransom software. I'm working for Günstige now for 17 years, currently in the role of a CTO, and I want to give you some insights, what happened to us, and what really happens to a company during such kind of an attack. First, a summary for everybody so that we are all on the same side. Qilin is ransom as a service. That means the developers of Qilin do not attack you. They have affiliates who rent that software, that framework, and do the attack. They are targeting enterprises and companies, high profit, so no private person is targeted. What they do is, on one side, they encrypt your system, and on the other side, they steal data from you. And they say if you do not pay them, they will put the information to public and you will not get the decrypt key. And there's no option, the decryption is too high to do it on your own. Günstige.de is a company. What we do is having a website, having multiple websites. We are a price comparison engine, so we take prices from merchants, put them online, show them to the audience, and let everybody click on it, find your product to the best price, and improve your shopping experience. We have 4 domains currently running in Germany, 2 domains currently running in Hungary, and 1 domain in Latvia. Also, we do some kind of agency, Google shopping ads for companies Europe-wide. We have 1 office, our headquarters here in Hamburg, as well as we have a daughter company, 100% daughter company in India. Together, we are around 110 persons. Our structure, very, very simplified, just to give you an insight and show you later this talk what happened to us. We have a 3-layer architecture, UI, platform, and back office, and the 2 offices in Germany and in India. I sorted the attack on us into 4 phases, and I named phase 1 the beginning. So what happened to us? It all started with a call. I was driving to work early in the morning, 8:15, was in my car, and my sysadmin was calling me, which was already suspicious because that was not the usual time he's up and doing already stuff. Yeah, and he said, hey, the worst thing you can imagine happened. Oh my God, we got attacked. I found viruses and so on. So we got notifications from our India team, who are working already earlier than us, that some systems are not working. So, oh my God, we got attacked. It's terrible. Directly up to office. And I looked up the different systems. People were working and said, let me see your system. And in every folder, you can see this ransom txt file saying, hey, you got hacked. So a lot of people were still working with infected systems without notifying, because the encryption was still running. So when you look at the chart, our office in Germany was completely gone because everything was infected and was dead. Next, what we did is we are driving to data center and checking what our servers were. So from the original chart, from this one, the back office is located on premise in a data center in Hamburg. Platform and UI are currently in AWS, in a cloud. So up to data center, checking machines there. And the encryption there was even further. Some host systems, some Hyper-V hosts were infected and already encrypting the VHAD already. So next part of the system was down. That was really hard. Then we checked and called also our India team, and asked them, hey, how is the situation there? And the people there could see on their clients only files in OneDrive folders that are shared with Hamburg colleagues. So we assumed, hey, the virus is located currently in Hamburg and Hamburg data center, which are strongly connected, but was not going to India. That is the current situation we are working with. So at this point, I already noticed no chance. We are kind of dead with the situation in Hamburg. And I asked the dev team in Hamburg and the ops teams in Hamburg, hey, please go home, take your internet connection from home, set up a rescue system. I had no clue if AWS was infected or not. So I said, okay, we have already our DevOps boards and everything sitting in Azure. Take the Azure cloud, that is clean because there was no system running. Take the Azure cloud, make new VPN connections from your home devices, bring it back to work, because our current system was infected and takes a long time to restore. That was already obvious to me. And then we are sending also all other teams home, because nobody could do anything. The systems were down. We are putting everything off. All machines were turned off to stop the encryption and decryption. And yeah, they could not do anything there. So, but the sales team went home, could use an Office 365 with mail and everything to contact our partners and tell them what happened, what the current situation are, as far as we know, and try to do their work. Also, phone calls were working because we just switched 2 months earlier to Teams calls and could still use our normal phone lines over Teams. Next step was for us, that was directly then after lunchtime, calling the police. We talked to the cybercrime unit in Hamburg. ZAK, Zentrale Ansprechstelle Cybercrime, nice word. And yeah, that was great because they were very nice. They could understand exactly what happened, give us some kind of explanations, what we can expect as next steps, help us with understanding everything. And that was a really great contact and really helpful for us and calming us down, as well as teaching us what should be the next step, what should we do, and so on. And yeah, then we were sitting there, what could we do next? And that was for us giving the GDPR notification. So that is a form that you fill out on the internet, look it up for your district you're in, and then you give the GDPR information. Basically, you fill it out with, I don't know yet, because you do not know it yet, but you are within the 3 days of time frame and everything is fine. Next step, and I think the most important step for us, was getting a remote external incident response team. Because this issue is huge. This issue is big. And you are not prepared on your own to solve that. So you need experts to help you solving it. In our case, it was Intersoft Consulting here from Hamburg, because we wanted to have a local company that help us directly. And we looked it up also, BSE certification. So you can look it up on the government sites, which are official certified incident response teams. Take them, because then you have kind of credibility also for them. And they were great. They helped us a lot through the whole process. I called them at 5 p.m. and I had 3 people sitting in the office with us, 6:30. 1.5 hours, 90 minutes to reach us and start the forensic. And that is a huge part. I think the forensic with this team on that day went till midnight. So it's really important, because you need forensic to document what happened, how you got attacked, to understand the attack, and so on. So what we noticed, for example, is this attack, the virus that we found was günstige.de.exe. That attack was dedicated to us. And in the source code of this attack were credentials of our accounts. They were hard-coded. This attack was not by accident. It was directly only for us. And that is also what I learned. This is ransom as a service. Someone buys in the darknet a breach or credentials from whatever source. I don't know what the source of this original credentials are. And then they take Qilin and say, let's build a virus for that, or they have tools to do it on their own, and then they send it out to us. The beginning was just one day. A lot of actions that happened for us on one day. And my role in that moment was mainly decision maker, which means that you have to do a lot of decisions during the first day. When you know that your system is already down, that your company is in danger, it's very hard to also say in that moment, we spend more money to solve it. So you need someone to say, okay, do this like doing the rescue system, which I know is expensive when you do everything on demand. Hire an external team, which is also very expensive, but worth to do it. So that was my role. Some advices for you and for myself. This is kind of a summary, what I think was good, what we did, and what we should have done better. If something happens to you, isolate your systems, but keep it on. We turned it off. Was okay for us, but not the best. Because when they get encrypted, you have no clue if they ever turn on again. So keep it on and just isolate it. So plug out network cables, and if you have attached backup devices, USB drives, whatever, unplug it, that they are also kind of secure. From the start, document everything. You need to take someone from team that cannot work anymore, sales team, whatever, front desk, and say, take a pen, take a paper, note everything down with time what I say you, because you need really documentation. We do not have that perfectly, which was kind of harder for me to prepare this presentation then, but especially if you have a insurance, you need this kind of times and timetables. This is a major issue. You will not be able to solve it alone. You need experts for different reasons to have that. So ask for help and take help as soon as possible. And focus on the servers. Focus are what matters. A lot of people say, oh, my client, my Excel file, whatever. Forget it. The server keep your company alive, not the client. The second phase I called the chaos. That was the time where everything happened at once. And what we did there is, at first, we ordered and installed new firewalls. I think they arrived 4 to 5 days after the incident. They were already planned for this year to upgrade, and that was, okay, security breach, throw out the old stuff, take in the new stuff. It's already everything off, so it's easy to switch also network devices. With this, we can build a new clean network. You need a clean network. You need two networks, a dirty net, if you want to boot up old devices, they might not be infected, might be, and then a clean network where you only let fresh installed devices in. At this moment, we got a call from our India office, which noticed that the domain controller was also completely infected. So this is how it looked like for us. Just saying it stopped there, because platform and UI are set up, in our case, of Linux servers, and the complete attack was only dedicated against Windows. The domain controller in India is a different domain than the one in Germany. So even if the attack was dedicated to us, there are still kind of enough tools in the virus to intrude also other networks if they get in. So don't feel secure only because your main credential in and the other domains might be secure. What you do as next item is, or we did, we bought a lot of USB drives, a lot of hard disks, attached them, because We ripped out all servers from the data center, put them into the office, and plug in hard disk and do the backups. Everything what you currently have, secure it just for the future, check if there's something not encrypted, what you can save and so on to get the current status. That's what we did as next time. And just to talk about maybe the main important question I get a lot of times is to pay or not to pay. That is what is the first question I get from everybody. Have you paid? In our case, I can say, yes, we have paid, but the reason for that is simply a business question. The question is only, what is the fastest way to restore? And is the data you lost maybe so personal that you do not want to let it out? So the question, if you pay, yes or no, is a pure business decision. And just saying the number was also so low that it was an option for us. In the beginning, I expected to see a number about 10 million or whatever, but what I saw was a low six-figure number. And together with our incident response team, we were even able to bring it down to 50% of the original sum. Because what you need to understand is that the ransom guys is a company that already spent work in you, and now they want to earn money. Which means when they have the option to earn less or nothing, they take less. So you have an option to argument and discuss it with them, and you want to come to the same level. So the original number that you see is not the final number. And what I heard from other cases, also 40 to 50% is normal. And that was in a range that makes it doable from a business point of for us to do that and speed it up the things to get back. Also for trust of the merchants to bring back the service and everything. So coming to this third phase, the chaos. Everything happens at once. Stay calm. So everything what in this phase, what happens is really in parallel. You need to deal with the ransom guys. You need to talk to external companies, other companies, umbrella companies, sister companies, tell them what happens, to update everybody, tell the teams what is happening and so on. So everything is in parallel. Everything is kind of chaotic. We had 10 servers laying around somewhere in the office, USB disks, and everything was backupping in parallel, everything simultaneously. Stay calm. That's absolutely fine. Just let the people do. But make it visible. That's something we should have also improved. So you should put out a whiteboard maybe in the hallway and say, this is what everybody doing. This is the next step. So everybody can always look at that when they fetch a coffee and say, okay, here we are. That is already secure. This is the next step. Make it transparent for everybody. And even if it's hard, you have a lot of people sitting at home doing nothing, waiting for information. So even if you have nothing to tell, you need to send updates to the teams. You need to tell them where you are, what is that, because they want also to be involved in that. And maybe most important, take care about the people. I heard about cases where incidents teams were called in 36 hours after incident, finding developers and sysadmins sitting there 36 hours without sleep, without food, without drinks. Really, best is take one person. You cannot help because you're not developer or sysadmin. So your job today, until everything is done, is catering, because it is so important that you care about that. And also remember, people without family can spend more hours in the office than people with family, because they have kids at home. So that is can be a huge conflict, because some people think, hey, I'm doing much more than everybody else, and you need to deal with that. You need to be the communicator in the middle. That was my job here, communication hub. taking information, sharing information, 2 to 3 times a day. I had also a call with the India office to update them, what happens to us, talking to our umbrella company, talking to everybody, keep them updated. This phase was roughly about 2 weeks for us. So we are roughly now 2 to 2 weeks and 1 day into the incident. And then we started the rebuild. What is the rebuild for us? First of all, something intruded our system. So there was something not optimal. That's obvious. So we defined new rules. How should it work in the future? We changed, the domain was down, domain controller was infected for India and for Germany. So we switched everything to Microsoft 365, using multi-factor authentication over that, using this as accounts on the machines, roll out other group policies there, a lot of stuff. This phase is also different to the other one because here you need a good structure. Here you need planning. That is different, and this planning needs to be from top, because what developers, what sysadmins, what DevOps guys see and want to restore is different what the business needs. So you need to check from a business point of view, what is the main system I need to restore? Then you need to talk and say, okay, I can restore that first, but it takes longer. If you do this first, it can be faster, you get quick wins. So a lot of structure, a lot of planning is needed. And your system is down. So you can improve your system. This is, I think, the only chance you ever get where your complete system is down and you can rebuild it from scratch. So use it. It's kind of taking the opportunity into the incident. We restructured completely our databases, sorting partitions nearer to each other and so on, which is a gain now. And last but not least, ensure that your payments work. Don't forget that a lot of companies have an own SAP. And if SAP is down, you cannot pay salaries. And the people sitting there 24 hours in the office wants to have payments in the end to pay their rent. Other way, if you write invoices, how to get money. So make sure this works. In our case, we were lucky because SAP was in our umbrella company not impacted. So we still had options to do that. Also salaries were coming, so the SEPA files coming from an external company. So that worked, but it's very important to think about that. And it's often forgotten. The rebuild was also, it was not completely 2 weeks. It was like after 2 weeks, the first systems were down. So 1 month after the incident, the first systems were back. And we say, okay, the first part of our business can come back and we bring something live. First out of the rescue system, later out of other systems as well. And my main role was coordinator. As I said, we need a lot of structure, we need a lot of planning. You need to tell what is next, you need to coordinate, also with external companies. We had one case, for example, where a sister company of us, without informing us, blocked all of our emails. So we were not able to send them an email saying, hey, we are back, because they are not we could not contact them. So I called their CEO and said, hey, let's solve that, we are back. But that was then also my role to handle with this kind of things. Very important is the change from the chaos phase to the rebuild phase. It's very hard to notice. Everything runs for some time in parallel. You can say backups all systems and they're doing it. But the teams kind of lost motivation, the mood were going down when the structure was missing for the next phase. It's very hard to notice when this is needed. So pay attention to that. What I just said, plan the sequence, because the business needs is different than the technical need. So be sure that you plan that the teams do that in the right direction. We had, for example, one team coming in on a Saturday, restoring, trying to save a system and so on. Said, that does not matter. This is, by the way, the last system we still have not rebuilt. That's happening directly next week now. The last system missing. But they spend a Saturday to do that, and taking a break, taking a rest is even more important. You have only one chance to improve your system, so do it now, because everything is down. And when you do that, think about if you want to have an external company helping you with planning that, because you're in the situation because your old system, you want not to get blindfolded or into the new system. And because you want to have speed to get it back to business, to working, means you want maybe have an external view about what's the current state of the art without doing your research. After that, we were going into the return phase. So all of these phases were still ongoing. Return was for us more or less when the people started to come back into the office. When they come back into the office, new rules in the last phase, share the information, how the new setup works, and teach them how they need to log in, how the different system works. The machines were known in-tune controlled, so software installs automatically. They were completely unusual for them, and you need to train and teach them a lot. The biggest question from the teams was, hey, how does work from home now work? Because we concentrated on bringing the business back. Work from home was for me a luxury issue coming later. So we solved it in this phase also because everybody wanted to work from home, partly because of long distance travel times, because of family and everything. So we ordered and installed new laptops for every developer and say, not every employee, and let them use, but these laptops are also completely in-tune controlled and a part of the hardware for Hamburg. So that was that. And when the team started back to work, there was a lot of, yeah, the system works, but this and this and this tool or this functionality is not working. Because after 20, 25 years of being in the business, there were a lot of tools that the developers were not aware of that they're still existing. So a lot of people came up with, hey, this tool is missing. And then we looked up the source code and said, oh, yes, there's this tool, let's deploy it. So this comes also. Be prepared that this happens. It's still to now, so we are back in office, everything is back, everything is normal. My role was mainly explaining everything to the people. Important in this phase is also manage expectations. When you are back back to office, and the people say, yeah, but what? How can I do my work from home? Yeah, but let's concentrate on security first. We solve that issue when we have time, but getting back into business is more important first of all. More safety means less comfort. Logging into a system, taking your phone, putting a number, it's usual for tech people, but a lot of non-tech people are not used to that. They should be, but they're not used. So they lose comfort because you have more security. You need to balance it out. No more bring your own device. But I can plug in my laptop here. No, you can't. Don't let any not controlled hardware into the internet network or into VPN anymore. And train the people also to pay attention to that. Also when kind of maybe an external finance control team comes in, no, don't hand them a network cable. That is not what you should do. And maybe also very important, celebrate back to office. In our case, we had not dedicated back to office party. We had a summer party directly after the return, but celebrate that everything is back, that you're still in business, that you're still alive. I think that is well deserved for everybody after such kind of incidents of hard chaos time. And when you are back to office and the people are still waiting because some systems are getting installed and you have a lot of old hardware and servers sitting around, the question is what you can do with that. The answer is this. So we have now a new couch in the house. It's way more comfortable than it looks like. I was surprised. But if you take only one thing out of this talk with you, it's very important for me that you remember this. The problem is a technical problem. It's a ransom attack. It's a criminal attack on you, on your company. But the solution is not technical. You need humans to solve it. Think about the humans that do that. Think about the sysadmin sitting there. That's obvious, restoring the systems. But think also about the people at home who want to help and cannot help. So let them help, maybe bake something, prepare a lunch for the team in office and bring it along. Think about them. Think about the family employees who cannot be there all the time. But also think about when the teams return, then they have a huge backlog that need to solve. You need to deal with that. You need to deal with the humans. And humans are often forgotten within these times. That was my talk. Thank you, everybody. Now we have some time for questions and answers. And I have a slideshow here with few impression images out of our office that will switch during the question and answers. Anyone with a question? That was the first hand. Basically everything was with Windows. So the Qilin can attack Windows, and Linux can attack everything, but the dedicated attack to us was only configured for Windows. So intruded two domains because they were configured in that, but then it was spreading also to a third domain in India, and that were completely infected and completely, there was everything down, and we had to reinstall everything. And so the team in India kept everything operating, so they switched a lot of workstations to Linux, Ubuntu, and worked with that online. They were not depending on Windows, but also even the MacBook, just to be sure, everything in the Qilin network got only in after reinstalled. Even the MacBooks got completely reinstalled. Everything that is attached to Windows. So when the file share is attached, like an iSCSI drive and so on, if that is attached, it will impact it. The iSCSI was even encrypted so far that it was completely dead and even could save anything.
If possible, can you share some numbers? For example, how long was the actual downtime between you were forced to shut everything down until you were fully up and business was running again? And also, can you share numbers like estimated financial damage caused by the attack?
The good thing is the website was not down, because our UI and our platform layer was Linux based in AWS, and the attack was only on Windows, so that system kept up. It was kind of frozen. So part of our business, we need to update prices, we send up, add new offers and create new products. That was down. Was around, until the rescue system and everything was set up and everything, few weeks. Then, because building from scratch with Kubernetes cluster for the import system took a while. And then we attached it to the rescue system in Azure, which was also kind of a different architecture. We never had been multi-cloud before, but we did that, and that's worked. The financial impact, I am not sure, but it was not as heavy. So the downtime and the trust issue were more heavy, and that's also why we speeded up the process. The financial impact was, okay is maybe the wrong word here, but it was acceptable from a financial point of view. So we are still very good numbers. We had a good year, so we are still kind of on plan or just below the plan because we had a good year. So the financial impact was not so heavy, not in our case, but it depends on the size of the company and what kind of information was stolen, what they want to have maybe. But for ourselves, because our India team was great, that saved us, because we bypassed the original system for a lot of things. They building a specialized import system only for the biggest merchants, just to cover the loss and so on. That's why we could do that. The India team was a great saver for us.
Talk Thanks for the talk. What was the communication like with the attacker, and are there any recommendations on negotiation or maybe things you've learned there? Thanks.
Sure. Nice is you chat with them on the website, and they're called support. The first, when you log in, there was support, and the first message was, hi, how can I help you? It's so unbelievable strange, this kind of communication, because you deal with customer support of this company. The ransom guys are also company. And it's so bizarre that my recommendation is, don't do it on your own, because you are emotional impacted. So these incident teams are also trained to do that for you. So we completely offloaded it to the incident team. We talked to them about decisions, about what we want and so on, and they did the communication, because that was so, I would like to say, America-friendly tone in that complete chat that was so crazy that you should not do it on your own. That would be my recommendation, because it's weird, because yeah, I'm glad you do that. I'm also, I'm happy to say it was weird.
Thank you very much for the talk. Do you think this could have been an inside job?
The initial breach, how the credential get out, can be anything. I have no clue why. So yes, there is an option that somebody sold it, obviously, but I don't believe that. But there could be anything. It could be a keylogger. It could be a VPN attack and whatever. So the initial breach, how they got the credentials, is different to the attack and must be separated. That's why I have no clue and no trace about that. The only thing is we could assume how it could help save it and change policies, so even if this happens again, how we should be sure secure in the future. Then I will switch over. The developers. In our case, the developers in Hamburg were also kind of doing a bit of the operational work for us in Hamburg, build up the complete rescue system in Azure. So I sent the team home and said, okay, do that. One of them had, because of administrative roles, also good rights in Azure. So I can only say, rebuild the system, do your deployments, do your pipelines, and set up everything, and build the rescue system. So I had one team, the developer team, to do the rescue, and the other team, sysadmin, to do the restore, where I had also one or two developers who helped them out and so on, because taking backups, and so a lot of things are shareable if you have technical knowledge. So we had dedicated jobs to do and did different roles for them. Yeah. Like I said, the initial breach, and they used that, like we see, to intrude. I don't know, and was not traceable, because the first thing that happens from this kind of a virus is deleting all logs. You have no trace. The only thing we could find is this one, the file. But how it got in, we have frankly saying no idea how that got in. We only could ensure it, but the nice thing is, the first thing is what they did is disable all virus scanners. So obviously we switched also the virus scanner to another product.
Regarding your Hamburg data center, did you have sufficient backups?
We had backups, yes. But one recommendation I had not on the slide is, next to have backups of data, you need backups of data flows or workflows. more or less. So the reason for us to speed up the things was mainly to get also kind of connection between the systems back, configurations back, improve workflows back. That speeded up things. So that was the main thing to speed up things. We would have recovered that also, but it would have taken more time than there was a business decision. But everything that is attached to your domain will be infected. So if you have backups, detach it completely from your domain and have it separately. I might.
Yeah, thank you. You said paying was a pure business decision. I understand this from the amount of money, but you said the attacker threatened to release personal data. How did you ensure that, this was not the first amount you had to pay and that they came back with another threat?
That's interesting because this kind of ransom software needs reputation. You have a powerful position in that moment. In our case, I give you one example. In our case, when we encrypted everything, the key was working, but for some files we had issues. We got technical support for them for the issue. Because they have a reputation to lose. If we make public, hey, we have paid, but they don't do what they promise, they lose reputation. The next team will not pay anymore. So they have to ensure that they hold what they promise you. Yeah.
Hi. I was wondering regarding what you did after the whole chaos and setup plan again, if you also considered things like incident response plans, business continuity management, trainings to be prepared on the management side for the next time.
Yes, so for sure, the main goal is to come back into business for everything. But that is completely on our list. And so it was also a wake-up call for our umbrella company. So Günstige.de belongs to the Heise group. They were not impacted, but I don't know if you heard that, but Heise was also attacked one time by the Emotet virus. And it was a kind of a wake-up call again to have not only company-centric solutions, but have a company or group-wide policy and solutions in place. And we are currently, so they let us alone rebuild our system. Now we are in the phase of synchronizing with them to have a group-wide kind of policy training solutions, because these companies have also VPN connections between them each other. So how do you ensure that if one company is infected, not all other companies get infected also? And that is something we do now group-wide.
One last
question. Jump into the middle.
Thanks for the talk. In terms of on-premise versus cloud, like, what do you think about the risks, but also the recovery process? Would have been easier, harder? What would you say?
I don't. So the recovery is easier in cloud. Depend on how much money do you spend. Because recovery means you can run everything parallel, which we have kind of done with Qilin Cloud with Azure. That's what we have done. So we use cloud to recover. From the incident itself, if you go not on serverless, where you don't care about the systems below, if you have real machines like EC2 instances and so on, I think there is no huge difference, because then you get infected and can crash everything. And even if you can do backups very easily in cloud from complete systems, you cannot trust complete system backups. You need data backups, and that's the same if you're on-premise on cloud. So for the infection, I would say there is no difference. For the rebuild, it's easier in cloud because you can parallelize everything, have it twice set up. So for us on-premise, it's more like, before I reinstall a machine, I need to back up the machine. and older machines have slow USB drives. It's like putting a disk in on USB, say copy, and wait until tomorrow. That's so annoying. Okay. Then thanks everybody. I'm still around the next 2 days. If you have more questions, feel free to contact me at any time.